Thank you for that introduction, John. And thank you to everyone else online who's joining us today. We're very happy to have been able to meet with many of you at the RFID Journal trade show a couple weeks ago. And we're excited that you could be here today with John and I for this first introduction to our new Sonaria software as a service. Many of the issues that John highlighted in his presentation are exactly why we designed Sonaria from the ground up to harness new IoT technologies that are available to overcome those challenges, so that we could deliver new Industry 4.0 use cases easier than we had ever been able to before. So what do I mean by Industry 4.0? Let's start by getting familiar with that term. If you're not familiar with the concept of Industry 4.0, in a nutshell, it represents just the next step in the evolution of manufacturing and the global supply chain. The Industry 1.0 period begins at the bottom left here with the introduction of mechanical production with water and steam power. When electricity became widely available, plants were modernized and mass production spread out, which marked the second industrial revolution. The third step along the ladder here introduces robotics and greater automation. And that brings us to where we really are today, in the transition between Industry 3.0 and Industry 4.0. Where the vast majority of companies remain on the Industry 3.0 side of things, but some industry leaders have started to take steps to move into the next phase of 4.0. So what'll the fourth revolution bring, and what'll make that change possible? When we look forward to Industry 4.0 today, we can see that the next step is fueled by the connected enterprise, connecting production and materials handling systems with the Internet of Things, and also connecting supply chain partners in ways that were not possible before, using things like blockchain. Greater connectivity locally inside the four walls and between trading partners will really shine a new light on operations to see what is happening at a level of detail that was previously very difficult or even impossible to achieve. The increased visibility to see an incredible level of detail through sensors and automated data collection allows that data to be analyzed and understand not only what's happening, but also why it's happening. And once we understand why something is happening, then we can harness that insight to predict and be prepared for what will happen next. And finally, in Industry 4.0, we see the supply chain will start to use the new data and insights to become more adaptable, self-optimizing, and self-healing. And these trends are clearly visible within the industry. Here in this survey from the Aberdeen Group, we can see the reasons why companies are looking to take advantage of the benefits of industrial IoT. 55% of those companies surveyed expect to reduce costs. 51% are looking to improve uptime and availability of their equipment. Further, 45% expect to increase velocity. 36% want to improve the quality of their products. And 23% of those companies are working towards improving safety. So when we looked at the problem of how do we get to Industry 4.0 to realize those benefits where we're understanding, predicting, self-optimizing, we could see in our experience over many years has told us that one of the biggest challenges is enabling the Internet of supply chain things and connecting it to the enterprise. It often ends up being overly complicated because of tightly coupled dependencies between applications and middleware and the actual underlying technologies. This makes it difficult to implement new technologies, difficult to swap out or upgrade technologies, and difficult to use multiple technologies. So that's one of the main reasons why we designed Sonaria. Sonaria is a hybrid cloud and on-premise platform to connect with any IoT device or data source, leverage that data and intuitive apps and dashboards, and integrate data from the edge with ERPs and line of business applications for transaction automation. At the top level, you can see that Sonaria uses the cloud to host services and applications to provide efficient data storage and analytics, centralized visibility and control across sites from a single location, high availability, and connectivity opportunities with trading partners. As we look further down the Sonaria development roadmap, we're working towards leveraging the unique capabilities and benefits of blockchain technology, like John mentioned, such as transparency, immutability, and smart contracts that can help to improve data sharing throughout the supply chain, for enhanced asset tracking, supply chain planning, and complete product traceability. The second major component of Sonaria is the IoT edge server, which you can see here in the edge layer is typically implemented at each site for local data collection and process control. This hybrid architecture ensures responsive system performance, and it also provides resiliency as well as security with support for multi-factor authentication and integration with existing enterprise security controls like Active Directory for user authentication. The Sonaria Edge Server is also responsible for connecting and consuming the data from all of the IoT and data collection devices at the bottom device layer within each site. The Sonaria Edge Server abstracts away the data collection hardware and technologies, allowing the system to be more flexible and sustainable to support changing business processes over time. Sonaria is a complete software as a service offering and allows solution providers like Lowry to bundle it together with additional services to offer the complete solution as a service, including not just the Sonaria software, but all of the hardware, software, implementation services, support services, all packaged together as a single complete managed service offering. So to summarize a little bit, the Sonaria Cloud, Edge Server, and devices all come together to capture IoT data from operations and drive that data up to ERP and business applications for transaction automation and to the cloud where it can be harnessed in analytics and dashboards used for alerts and notifications and shared with trusted supply chain partners. In addition to driving those benefits up the stack, Sonaria also pushes process automation and error proofing out to the edge of the enterprise by facilitating centralized administration, health, and monitoring all from the cloud. So what kinds of things are we talking about connecting to the industrial Internet of Things more specifically? First and foremost, we're referring to the flow of materials and goods through the supply chain. Enabling the raw materials, work in process inventory, and finished goods with the ability to be identified and tracked as part of the Internet of Things can bring insight to the full scope of operations from receiving through storage, picking, production, staging, and eventually through shipping. The products can even be tracked as they transition through downstream supply chain partners or even throughout the complete product life cycle after delivery to the end customer in some cases. But not only are we enabling the product inventory to connect with the Internet of Things, we're also connecting the assets that are used to support operations like the production machines, tools, and equipment, vehicles and materials handling equipment, reusable container inventories. By identifying and tracking all of those assets as part of the IoT, we're able to manage their performance and ensure they're available when needed to keep operations moving. Something as simple as not having enough containers on hand in the right places at the right times can lead to production delays and additional shipping and handling costs. Leveraging a single flexible platform to connect inventory and assets to the IoT means we can easily extend the same capabilities to the inventory of tools and equipment that are essential to the supply chain. By managing the tools and equipment within Sonaria, we can ensure they're available, ready for use, and easy to locate when needed. Finally, we can also enable and connect with the people who are charged with getting the job done, like the materials handlers and machine operators. By bringing those people into the Internet of Things, that creates new opportunities to improve safety, help ensure product quality, and get insight into the operations to find additional opportunities for improvement. So what are we able to achieve by connecting the inventory, assets, and people of the supply chain to the IoT? By connecting all of those important sources of data, we can deliver real return on investment today with next generation Industry 4.0 business processes in areas like traceability, manufacturing execution, and work in process tracking, packaging and labeling automation, inventory management, and asset tracking. In each of those areas, Sonaria provides improved profit, safety, quality, and productivity through automation and error proofing, while providing the data required for improved insight, decision support, and optimization. Sonaria makes the solution easier than ever to implement, upgrade, and maintain by abstracting away the data capture layer to eliminate vendor and device-specific dependencies while making the entire system easier to monitor and manage from a central location. The Sonaria apps are packages of supply chain use cases with unique features, workflows, reports, and dashboards that are designed to deliver improvements and return on investment as quickly as possible. For example, if we take a look at the work in process application, within it we find features, configurations, and dashboards designed specifically around use cases like interactive assembly, where the system may provide intuitive work instructions and references at each workstation in the production process, or parts and materials error proofing, in which the system will ensure production equipment is only operable when the correct parts and tools are being used at each step in the process. We also see it supports additional processes for parts replenishment automation to identify automatically when parts replenishment orders should be submitted to keep the flow of parts moving more efficiently. Or we can see quality management is also available to ensure that items such as on hold, scrap, or expired inventory and materials can be tracked and excluded from entering the supply chain. Finally is the aspect of traceability the system provides by identifying and tracking the history of each part or unit of material that goes into each finished end product, which is important for enabling complete end-to-end supply chain traceability. The inventory management application includes support for several use cases like efficiently receiving, validating, and labeling inbound parts and materials, as well as tracking storage and transfers to maintain accurate inventories and keep operations running smoothly. When it's time to pick, stage, and ship products, Sonaria provides automated workflows that ensure orders are complete and accurate. Within the packaging and labeling set of capabilities, we can see several very important use cases. The first step in connecting the flow of parts and materials in the supply chain to the Internet of Things is to clearly identify them, and that often begins with labeling or parts marking. Sonaria can also automate packaging and labeling processes, including item case and pallet labeling, label verification, and error proofing. Easy line setup and changeovers are also possible. And of course, traceability is a key aspect of the solution here, as it's a necessary part of product identification and tracking. Within asset tracking, you can see the types of assets and applications that Sonaria makes possible. By identifying and tracking these items, such as reusable containers, tools, and equipment, Sonaria can help to avoid supply shortages and production delays. In addition, making these assets part of the Internet of Things means that they can interact as part of the other applications as well, like work in process, to enable new error proofing and traceability options. And finally, again, traceability is a common thread among all Industry 4.0 IoT use cases. Traceability is one of the most important factors in ensuring product quality, and it enables new use cases for improved customer experience and satisfaction, like product authenticity and counterfeit prevention, and also product lifecycle management. The Sonaria apps are designed to deliver these use cases out of box as easily as possible in order to achieve results as quickly as possible, while at the same time providing the flexibility required to be a really robust and sustainable long-term solution. So how do we make all of these great use cases and benefits achievable? Sonaria makes things much easier than they were previously by providing a single platform for any item identification and tracking technology or IoT data source. At the bottom layer here, you can see we start with the IoT connectors. These are the individual drivers or interfaces that enable each technology to plug into the Sonaria platform. These connectors extend the enterprise to the Internet of Things by enabling communication with the physical devices and data sources at the edge, like active or passive RFID, Bluetooth low energy, barcode scanners and verifiers, ultra wideband RFID, vision systems, PLCs and control systems, sensors and actuators, and so on and so forth. By abstracting the underlying technologies and providing a common data layer to collect the information, Sonaria undoes the coupling between technology and business process, enabling you to easily swap out or upgrade to new technologies over time, or mix and match different technologies to improve user experiences and enable new use cases. In the middle are the core capabilities of the Sonaria IoT server, including centralized system management, device health and monitoring, the workflow engine configured with your particular business processes, rules, and alerts, and the edge data repository. The edge server core includes everything needed to enable fast and responsive edge use cases and keep operations running even in the event of connectivity issues with the cloud. Finally, at the top, we have the interface layer, which enables the Sonaria Edge server to connect and share data with cloud services and your enterprise applications. Sonaria is able to both retrieve data from business systems for edge process validation, such as for orders, and as well as to interface with those systems to provide IoT data and automate transaction updates. So what devices are supported within the platform today? Currently, we support several data collection technologies, including various forms of RFID and barcode technology, along with support for sensors and actuators through relays and general purpose input-output. We support several modes of UHF RFID, for example, ranging from zone-based tracking, threshold, or transition detection modes, as well as real-time location with precise XYZ location coordinates. We also have support for a lot of additional devices and protocols in the works, including GPS, which is coming out very soon, along with near-field RFID and expanded support for label printers and applicators, as well as support for additional PLC integrations and control systems protocols like OPC. And we also have many more devices and connectors on the longer-term roadmap as we look out past 2018 and beyond. In addition to fully automated data collection from all of those IoT sources, another part of implementing the principle of zero human intervention operations that John described for us earlier is only involving or burdening the users at the right times. Sonaria is designed to allow the system to handle as much automated data collection in the process as possible from any type of device or data source. This way, during the normal course of operations, the employee is only burdened with the bare minimum of data entry requirements, and Sonaria can actively monitor the status and alert the employees in real time so they can handle any exceptions immediately before the cost of the error is compounded and it becomes a much bigger issue for them. To that end, Sonaria provides a common platform to implement efficient edge business processes with intuitive apps for web browsers, native applications for mobile devices, including smartphones and enterprise handhelds, and also support for several Bluetooth and USB peripherals to extend data capture capabilities to additional devices such as smartphones. So now let's take a look at some of Sonaria's most important features. Here you can see the device management screen. Sonaria provides a single pane of glass to manage all IoT devices across the entire site or across all sites in the enterprise. Sonaria reduces IoT device management and maintenance costs by providing an easy-to-use tool for device configuration and management, while also enabling real-time health monitoring for proactive troubleshooting and maintenance. Within this screen, as you can see here, it's very easy to see the status of each device at a glance and to configure device monitoring alerts to resolve any issues as soon as possible. Sonaria also provides a unified location tracking engine, taking location data from all sources to provide accurate location tracking as items are in transit or deployed in the field around the world using GPS, to support for several technologies and modes of operation within the four walls to provide tracking all the way down to an exact precise shelf location or with XYZ coordinates as may be required by the use case. If we switch over from the slide presentation now to the actual Sonaria asset tracking application, you'll be able to see some of this in action. Bear with me here while I bring up the web browser, and I'll probably need to log in again. I'll start by logging in quickly here. And as the screen comes up here, I'm going to switch to the asset search screen. And from here, within the asset tracking application, you can see that we can very quickly get a view into the asset inventory across each site by asset type. And here I can see and filter the list of asset types at each location. So if we were to filter this list down, for example, to just the items at our RFID journal site, we can see that list gets filtered down here. And if I click on one of these items, it can take us directly to that location in the map, as we can zoom in here. And as we can see, we're in Orlando at the RFID Journal Trade Show. And if I click on this pin on the map, it'll bring up additional information. We can see here the total number of assets in the facility. And with this map link, I can drill down to get even more information from this site. So now we've drilled down to this particular site. Some of you may recognize this from the RFID Journal Trade Show. This was our booth there, where we had several items tagged in the booth to demonstrate real-time location tracking, as well as zone creation and transition detection within the system. Here you can see the icons indicating the last location of each item that we were tracking there when we turned off the system after the show. If I move over one of the icons here, you can immediately see some additional details, including a photo of the item and its current status information. I can also click on one of the items to drill down and get even more information. If I select this item from the list, the first tab that I see here is the tab including all of the asset details and other data. The system allows for configuration of any number of data elements to be tracked for each asset type, and supports a wide variety of data types like menus, numbers, or dates with configurable business rules in order to validate data entry and reduce errors. So you can see here in this example, this asset type has been configured with a few custom fields, including weight, model, and manufacturer. You can see at the bottom all of the unique identities or tags assigned to the item. And up here, the additional basic details, including description and location and status information. If we go to the second tab up here, we can see that this is the transaction log. And what we see here is that the system keeps a complete transaction history for every single asset within the system throughout its entire life. So from the time you acquire an asset until you eventually dispose of it, it will keep track of every update and change that you make to that asset's information, including where it's located and other information throughout its entire life, so that you have all that for reference and reporting purposes. If I switch over here and go to one of the management screens real quick, I'd like to show you how easy it is to manage locations within the system. It provides complete location and zone management. So for example, if we wanted to define a new zone within the system, it's very easy. I can simply click on Create Zone here. You can see to start out that we have 2 zones defined within this demo. I can create a new zone very simply by selecting the Create Zone option. Then on the map, I can enter the name and description for this new zone, and then simply draw the zone in the area that we want to put it. So for example, we could locate that new zone over here at this building, for example. And very easily, we've identified this new zone within the system. And now that we've identified that new zone, we can use it to configure geofencing rules and alerts to enable automatic notifications as assets transit into or out of this facility. Or even if I decide that I wanted to define this zone in a little more detail, I can clear this circle shape, and we can even identify it exactly by drawing the zone around the location to get an even more precise definition of that zone. And there, now we have an exact definition of that zone, and we can be alerted to assets moving into or out of that zone as necessary. I'm going to switch over here now to show you a few of the dashboards and charts we have in the software. So in addition to orchestrating improved operations, Sonaria also provides analytics and dashboards, allowing managers to gain insights for further improvement. These tailored reports and dashboards are included with each Sonaria app. Reports within each app help to support and manage daily operations, while dashboards also help to manage and optimize performance over time. Some Sonaria dashboards and metrics, for example, are things like inventory accuracy, asset utilization, surplus inventory, shipment accuracy, and process error rates, for example. All of the management dashboards include great features like summary roll-up statistics for an at-a-glance view, year-over-year comparisons, which you can see up here at the top, and responsive interactivity and drill down. So as you can see here, as I roll over each month in this asset utilization trend, we can see the specific data for that month very easily. We also have on our future roadmap plans to leverage additional capabilities within the cloud around predictive analytics to be able to provide new insights into predictive maintenance, capacity planning, and resource management. But here at the top of this asset utilization dashboard, which tracks our asset inventory levels and utilization rates over time. And this allows us to quickly see both the current performance as well as performance for the same period in the prior year. You can see some of those summary pieces of information here at the top. And in addition to clearly presenting the utilization metrics over time, the dashboard also allows us to quickly see the metrics broken down by key dimensions like department and asset type, as you can see here in these lower charts, for example. As I scroll down here, you can see some additional examples of different charts and dashboarding capabilities. Here's another drill down example where we're looking at a summary of assets by asset type. And I can click on this particular asset type, cables here in this case. And we can see for all of the cables in the inventory what the specific status summary is for those cables. So here we can see we have 54% cables available. Here's another example where we can see the dwell time of assets by zone in order to get a better understanding of how those assets are flowing through the operations. And within the chart, we're able to identify a maximum dwell time per zone so that it can easily highlight for us any zones where that dwell time is a little greater than what we would like to see. So I think I'd like to wrap up here today by switching back to the presentation for just a moment here. And I'd like to just take a quick look to review with you just one more example of how Sonaria can provide a solid ROI in as little as 6 to 8 months or less. One of the areas where we most often see opportunities to achieve a quick return on investment is in the area of shipping and order fulfillment. Typically, companies that have not yet made the jump to Industry 4.0 will often be using manual processes with pen and paper or printed reports to manage shipping operations. These manual processes are usually accompanied by a subsequent process down in the office for the data to actually be entered into the business system. Companies often employ barcode scanning during shipment with varying degrees of success. However, the need to individually locate and scan each and every barcode can take several minutes on average for each item, and these processes can still often face difficult issues with efficiency and accuracy, like relying on a combination of scanning and unreliable manual counting for verification, or the system may only provide validation at the end of the process when the transaction has already been submitted after the full truck has been loaded. Or worse yet, it may only allow the information to be recorded without providing any real validation or error proofing of what's being shipped and what data is being recorded in the system. With automated shipment verification using passive UHF RFID for data capture in this example, the worker is only required to identify the initial order and loading dock information, and then Sonaria is able to take over and automatically verify each item against the order in real time as it's being loaded while providing the worker with updated status information. In the event that any exceptions are detected, such as the wrong product being loaded, the wrong quantity of items, the wrong dock door being used, or product that's been flagged as expired or on hold is being loaded, Sonaria is able to immediately notify the employee of those issues so they can take corrective action and resolve it as quickly as possible. Finally, after the shipment is complete, Sonaria has all of the data required to automatically update and record the necessary transactions in the host system or ERP. This kind of automated shipment verification provides return on investment in several ways. That includes the materials and rework to replace missing or incorrect product, the handling, repicking, reshipping of replacement product. It avoids the cost for expedited shipping that you may face. And last but not least, it also provides the time saved for each and every product shipped by upgrading to a more automated process. All of that adds up to savings that we estimated for one client to be greater than $1.8 million saved over 3 years. And all of this is not to mention the value of improved customer satisfaction that will result as well. So I think that's a great point for us to wrap up on today. Thank you again to everyone for joining us today, and thank you from both John and myself. We're both very excited about the new Sonaria platform, and we really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day and giving us the chance to give you this brief introduction and first look at it. Thanks again, and we'll be in touch to follow up and learn more about your specific projects very soon. Goodbye.